Welcome back to Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I'm your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm really pleased to have with me today Brent Cook, who has been on this show a number of times in the past, and also joining him, Gwen-Preston. She'll be with us here now for the first time. She's the author of a newsletter named Resource Maven. One of the reasons I wanted to have both Gwen and Brent with me today on the show is because both of them will be appearing at the May 14th and 15th Metals Investor Forum at the Georgia Hotel in Vancouver. So if you are an investor and interested in attending this event, let me urge you to go to my website, jtaylormedia.com, click on the Metals Investor Forum banner, and there's a very quick and easy 30-second form to fill out. It is free for you, but you do need to sign up, and I'm told it is. The numbers are limited. There's only so many chairs available for people to attend this conference, so don't delay. Do it right away. J. Taylor Media, click on that banner, and then it'll be easy. So if you can go, I would urge you to do so if you're interested in the junior sector, and that's what we want to talk to Gwen and Brent about right now. Welcome, both of you, for joining me today.
Thanks very much.
Very good to have both of you. I might just note that Gwen's website is resourcemaven.ca, and you can follow what Brent does and sign up for his letter at explorationinsight.com. So both very excellent newsletters, highly regarded, and so we're very privileged to have both of them with us today. Gwen, since this is the first time on my show, just let our listeners know a little bit about your newsletter. What do you try to accomplish with it?
Absolutely, yeah. So my newsletter is about what I'm buying and what I'm selling and what I'm thinking in the metals and mining sector. So what I try to accomplish with it, gains is obviously the first thing, but more broadly, those of us who live in the mining sector, who sort of live it and breathe it and it's our day job, we just know a lot about what's going on, from conversations on the street corner or from the fact that we spend all day researching. A lot of retail investors are just as interested in the mining sector, but they have day jobs, they don't have the time or the connections to just know all of that. So a big part of what I try and do is just convey as much information as I can. What's new, what's interesting, what's happening, why it's important, both with companies in the portfolio and not in the portfolio. Just to try and let people into the fold and give them access to the same kind of upside that those of us who are in the industry and we're in it because we see so much opportunity, the same upside or the same access to information that we have.
Excellent. Well, I have to think, Gwen, I'm not sure when you started writing your newsletter, but it must be a lot more fun this year than it was last year.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I actually started writing my newsletter about halfway through 2014. I had been in the sector for getting on for a decade, mostly as a journalist with the Northern Miner, and I looked around and wanted to participate in the upswing more independently and proactively. So I left salaried, pensioned, benefited job and started my own business at the very bottom of a bear market. And yeah, the first little while was a bit tough. But
well, you're having more fun now. I must say that you're a heck of a lot smarter than I am, Gwen, because I started my newsletter back in 1981. It was the start of about a umpteen-year bear market. So, of course, I didn't do it full-time. I worked part-time. I was a lending officer then, and it was a hobby for me. So, nonetheless, kudos to you for your timing. Brent, you've been with us before. People are aware of your letter, but maybe just give a brief plug for what you try to accomplish with your letter.
Right. Gwen makes a really good point. This is a very small industry with a lot of complicated data points that someone has to evaluate to make a decision whether a project or a mine works or doesn't work. So I've spent, basically my whole life as an economic geologist working for more or less as a consultant to most of the major mining companies, been involved in grassroots through feasibility studies and bank audits. And I think it's real important that that sort of background comes into a letter about what, like Gwen's doing. I write about what I'm buying and selling with my own money. And just in November, I brought on a second geologist who I must say is smarter than I, Cholma Zamdar, who has helped a lot, and the letter has really improved since then, and the timing so far seems to be pretty good.
All right, excellent. So it's explorationinsights.com for those of you who might want to check out Brent's work a little more carefully. Brent, you are the author. What are you seeing now? Are you seeing a turn here in the markets, do you think, Brent, or is this a head fake?
No, for sure. I think we've seen the bottom, more or less, certainly in the precious metals. What triggered it for me was when we started seeing negative interest rates globally, and even more so the potential that may hit here in the U.S. That, to me, was the big change that makes precious metals and gold in particular and actually a sensible investment or alternative for the generalist funds. Up until that point, it had been sort of gold bugs, crazies, that sort of thing. But this now has changed, and we've seen it in the GDXJ, the various indices that follow the mining companies, where they've basically doubled since, call it, early January. So I think this change is real. I expect, volatility, but I also expect by the end of the year, gold will be at a higher price than it is now. So it's positive.
You think the market's getting a little frothy yet, a little crazy, or are we still in the early stages? Or is it you have to look case by case, stock by stock?
For sure. Case by case, for sure. And I follow, my goal is to buy real projects, real companies with deposits in the making or that they own that are high margin, meaning very profitable. Mm-hmm. What I've seen that worries me lately is there's popularity in these optionality plays. And companies that have gold deposits that are really marginal to uneconomic, and probably will be no matter what the gold price is, have moved, 50 to 70%. Mm-hmm. That troubles me, because really what we're seeing there is it's an investment, not an investment, a speculation that you'll be able to buy this now and sell it to a greater fool down the road.
Yeah,
that may or may not work, but it's certainly not what I intend to put my money into.
Right.
So that's a bit troubling. I was hoping that sort of mentality would be gone, but apparently it's not.
Yeah, well, we've seen it work in terms of paper profits in the past, for sure, and because if you've got some metal in the ground, whether or not it costs anything, whether or not it's economic getting it out, people don't seem to care. But of course, that's what you're looking at, and tip your subscribers off to an early stage. Well, Gwen, same question. What are your thoughts? Is this you've been around for a while and you've looked at the Northern Miner, you've seen markets, you decided to come into it now, so you must not think that it is it's a head fake. You believe that this is probably a longer term trend, I gather.
Absolutely, I do. And of course, I started a bit early in getting in 2014, but broadly speaking, it was the bottom. But the confirmation that we are past that bottom now, similar to what Brent was saying, the interest rates is a huge part of it. The other part of it, I'd say, is that I believe the big runs in the U.S., that U.S. bull market, are ending. And so when you combine negative interest rates, so that erases the usual hedge that people have for equities, which is bonds. You can't lower interest rates if the U.S. is to go into a recession, and therefore bonds can't provide the hedge that they would do usually in that sort of scenario. And then you take away what people have generally been investing in the last 6 years very successfully, which is just large, like blue chips in America. It leaves the generalist investor very much searching for both security and value. And there's not very much of that around, except for in mining, which is a sector that completely missed the bull run and has the added bonus of having the segment of it that is based on gold, the sort of perfect alternative when you need something, when there's abundant economic and political, to be honest, if you include U.S. politics, abundant economic and political uncertainty. Gold thrives in those kinds of conditions. So it is developing as a perfect storm for gold and the mining sector right now.
It certainly, certainly has been. The leverage aspect for the shares, too, has been remarkable so far, as I was remarking in my initial discussion here, that we've had, 18% rise in the price of gold, and, the shares are up 60, 70%, individual stocks up triple digits so far. It is remarkable. Well, talk about some of the companies that are your favorites and some that might be at the event that I'm just speaking of, the Metals Investor Forum. Brent, are there a couple of companies that you may have invited there that you're especially keen on that you might want to mention to our listeners?
Well, certainly one that's in still a very unpopular sector is energy fuels. The symbol's EFR in Canada and UUUU in the U.S. I think down the road, uranium, I can see a shortage in uranium, and certainly I can see a shortage in companies that have deposits that are permitted, drilled out, ready to put in production when the uranium price does rise. And so that's one company that I own personally, and I think it's been pretty flatlined since we bought it. But I do anticipate later this year into next year uranium prices to rise. And this is one of the few companies that actually has uranium. It's all in the U.S. It's drilled out, permitted. They've got a mill. So I'm favorably inclined towards that one. And I guess another company we invited was Evrim Resources, EVM. Tiny market cap company, about $12 million, exploring in Mexico mostly with a couple of projects in Canada. Very good exploration geologist who's been successful in the past turning up properties. There's no immediate catalyst, but I think these are the sorts of companies run by good people that you want to just kind of pick away at as the opportunity arises and wait for the discovery.
All right, Gwen, same question. Any companies that you're favoring that you've invited to the Metals Investor Forum?
Absolutely. So I'll probably start by mentioning Nevsun. Nevsun has certainly got a fair bit of press in the last few days because of the deal that they just signed to take over Reservoir Minerals, and that gives them control of Reservoir's stake in that really fantastic Timok discovery in Serbia. Nevsun has been a company that I've been into for quite some time, just a very, very financially well-managed company with a very profitable mine in an unpopular jurisdiction in Eritrea. So this acquisition, they've been sitting on $500 million in their bank account for a long time. Everyone was wondering what they would do with that money. I think this was a really astute move. And they're going to be at the conference, and it's sort of their first big press event or event. So I think it'll be really great to hear from management about that in a couple weeks. And then I would also mention Newmarket. Newmarket, I believe Brent and Joe also follow Newmarket. This is a company, a very proven, experienced management team that looked around at the bottom of the market and wanted to establish a new vehicle to ride through gold, what they see as gold's next run. And so they took over Crocodile Gold, got control of 3 really interesting gold mines in Australia, and have since, in short order, made each of those mines more efficient and economic, partly through some really good exploration work. Now they're a debt-free mid-tier gold producer that I'm sure is out looking for new acquisitions and has some really great operations already underway. And then I'd also throw in there Orin. Orin is, they have the Committee Bay project in Nunavut. It's a district scale exploration asset that has had $100 million poured into it, but that they acquired for a fraction of that. Again, another bear market type opportunity with another very dynamic management team that's really focused on low-cost exploration, and I know is out there looking for other acquisitions. That's AUG. Their share price has done really nicely of late, I think, partly on speculation that there is another acquisition coming from that team. So those are a few of the companies that I have coming. That I'm excited about.
Orin is a name that's well known to my listeners. They have been a sponsor of this show. The management, as you know, Gwen, very successful in the past. They bring all the pieces together, it seems, not only the technical expertise, but also the financing, structuring, and so forth. All the pieces, they've been very successful. So I'm also one of my favorites as well as Orin resources. Well, I really look forward to meeting both of you up there in Vancouver, and also listening to some of these stories. I think it's going to be a very worthwhile event. I think you mentioned Crocodile Gold with respect to Newmarket, and Crocodile also was a sponsor of this show. But just to show that timing is everything. Certainly, they were starting up when the price of gold was collapsing, and now Newmarket gets in there at just the right time, it seems. So timing is everything, and if we are on to an upswing here, which I believe we are, both Brent and Gwen just gave reasons why they think we are, then it behooves those of you who can get to this conference to go. Sign up, go to J. Taylor Media, click on the banner, and just put in your name and email address. I think is about all that's required. Takes all of a few seconds to do it, and I think if you're interested in this sector, it is really an opportunity you don't want to miss. Anything else, Gwen? Anything else? Brent, you'd like to add?
Well, I'd say, regards to this conference, Eric Coffin has organized a session at the end of Sunday. Mm-hmm. It should be pretty interesting, where we're all just going to get together and discuss topics, open forum over a beer. So that should be a real hit. I think it'd be nice to be able to interact with the audience as well as the companies and all the speakers there in an informal manner. So I would definitely stay around for that.
Yeah, Gwen, anything to add?
Yeah, I would add to that the whole structure of the conference, there's certainly the formal part, presentations in the speaking room, but then we make sure that there's many hours each day of break time that just gives everyone the opportunity to talk to each other. So the management from the companies are right there, the CEO's there, the newsletter writers, Eric and Brent and myself and Joe and Brian Lundeen and JU will be there. Yeah. We're all available for anyone to talk to. So I think that's a huge part of what we're offering there, is just an opportunity for everyone to talk shop and trade ideas.